Usually more that you can speak to also, of course. As if you're not a
I know, in my mind it was going to be an us thing, but all of your questions ended up being like, you take this one.
I've said a couple of them.
That's true. That's true.
I feel like my church is okay with my gay orientation, but I don't know if they would accept me getting married in our church someday. What do I do?
Oh yeah, get married and find out. That's a not uncommon occurrence in churches and in society where it's like, well, you can be gay, just like, don't push it in our faces, right?
Yeah, and there are faith groups and people out there who are like, okay, civil unions are cool, like they are cool with the legal rights for same-sex couples, but once you call it a marriage, that's when people have a real problem with it, right? Just like there's other people who are like, fine, be gay, think gay thoughts, but don't act on them. So there are all these different levels of what is okay, what degree of gayness is okay. And
I think that that's something to talk about, and so you could bring up with them, what is our policy? Like, can we make it official somewhere? If you're a pastor, you can talk to your pastor about doing this, sort of incorporating the stories of queer people into sermons in the same way people tell all sorts of stories in the pulpit, right? And so there's lots of ways to weave LGBT people and stories and events and experiences into the church experience. And so if you're not ready to try and get married yet, you can sort of see in what other ways can we sort of push the envelope towards greater inclusion now and sort of see where that goes.
Mm-hmm. The more I accept my queerness, the more I feel myself losing my faith, and it's terrifying. How do you keep your faith and accept your queerness?
I want to say first off that if you accept your queerness and lose your faith, there's nothing wrong with you. That is a completely acceptable and valid thing. There are lots of different expressions of Christianity. There's also different churches. Many of them are, staunchly pro-LGBTQ. And many or most of them are that way not in spite of their Christian faith, but because of it, they feel like my Christian faith compels me to take a stand for justice. Mm-hmm. And that discrimination is immoral and sinful, right? And so you get this opportunity, right, to really question your faith and find what you believe in and what makes sense for you in a way that so many people don't ever question it. So that's an exciting, terrifying opportunity, but I think at the end of the day, no matter where you land, you'll know that it's what you really believe.
Yeah, that's an important point too. Hold on to your faith for as long as you can love yourself, but if holding on to it makes you love yourself less, then it's time to reevaluate.
Get rid of it. Yeah. God is love.
God is love. What do you do if your queer partner is of a different faith or doesn't have, lacks faith and you are a person of faith?
I think it's entirely possible to be a Christian, non-Christian, or Christian, Jewish, or Christian, and atheist, and still have compatible values and really make that work, and that'd be great. It's also possible to be two different types of Christian and have completely different values and ways of understanding the world. And so whether like the name on the form that you write down what religion you are, I think is less important than do you share common values and an outlook on life, and do you have compatible dreams?
Mm-hmm.
That's much more important than I go to synagogue and I go to church, or I go to the mosque, or I don't go to anything because I think we're alone in the universe.
I grew up with a Catholic mom, Jewish dad, and when I realized, around the same time that I had my middle school Christian friends, I was like, oh my God, am I not supposed to exist? I had this teen study Bible that somebody bought for me that my parents...
Teen Study Bible?
Remember Teen Study Bible?
My
parents were so freaked out that one of my friends bought this for me, and I remember the day that I was like, okay, faith is never gonna be for me, because there was a relationship section that's, watered down for 12-year-olds, and it said something along the lines of don't date non-Christians, just don't do it, it's not gonna end well, you don't want to get yourself into that. And I was terrified and said, okay, so this God that I'm reading about doesn't want me to exist. It says here in my Bible that I am a product of a sinful relationship, and that really freaked me out. So I confronted my parents about it, and they said yeah, we grew up differently. They had both a priest and a rabbi at their wedding, which sounds like a setup to a joke, but I heard was actually really moving. And my parents just basically said, to my 12-year-old self, we talked about this, we both believe in God. That's what mattered to us. In relationships, the essence of a relationship is that you're different people with different backgrounds and experiences to bring forward. So with anything else, you just want to have a conversation about it. And like Brian said, you can probably make it work, and in some cases maybe you can't, but you want to know that early. So talk about it, things will probably be okay.
Yeah, that's for you to decide.
Yeah. Yay. Am I able to enact social change in the Catholic Church if I leave it?
My friend that I keep talking about, Father Shay, is a Catholic priest, transgender, and a Catholic priest. And he's not Roman Catholic. He's part of the Old Catholic Church, which is an independent Catholic church that's not in communion with Rome. that ordains queer people and married people and divorced people and non-celibate folks. And so if Catholicism in particular is important to you, but you like don't want to be in a oppressive institution, there are other options out there for you.
My perception is that people who are really strongly set in their faith don't necessarily take kindly to change coming from the outside, which is the same from a lot of other like tight-knit groups of any kind of social justice-y background, right? You listen the most to the people who are in your circle. That's a basic principle of psychology. So especially if you are someone who deliberately leaves the Catholic Church because you're not happy with it and then tries to be an outsider to fix it from that new position, I don't see that necessarily going over terribly well.
There are lots of options if you leave and want to create change sort of by putting pressure on them to be better. Activism, there's lots of options if you stay. Ultimately, you have to do what is right and what feels good and what nourishes your soul. And if it's like beating you down and beating you up and you're like not fulfilled, or they won't let you follow your calling and you can't live that out, like you don't owe it to anyone to stay and be miserable. And the world needs more people who are not miserable. And so if staying feels good and right, do that. And if leaving feels good and right, do that.
All right, that is all of the note cards that I have this time. I'm sure I'll bring more to the next video though. So like we were saying this entire time, we name dropped a bunch of different people and resources. I have links to all of them in the doobly-doo. Big thank you to Brian for coming back here.
Thank you for having me.
Yay, all right. Thank you for being here and for watching this. Please ask me questions if you have more questions about this topic. Maybe we'll make another video because we like talking to each other and it's an excuse to hang out.
Yep.
So, yeah. See you soon.
Bye.